Instagram. Okay, we're on Instagram, we're on Facebook. Okay, so I'm just talking about synchronicities, and you'll see me looking at two separate screens. Sorry, not sorry, because I love all the people, and I just want to make sure everybody gets this. Okay, so we're just talking about synchronicities, and I was just talking about my best friend Alicia and I, how, comment below and tell me if you believe in synchronicities, or if you ever, like realize that you're having like these weird coincidences that keep happening in your life, where like certain things start showing up when you're thinking about it, or you're thinking about someone and then they call or text you. My best friend and I do that all the time. And or like I will have like different thoughts for another friend that are actually meant for her. And like I was thinking about these synchronicities that were happening in the shower. Go figure, because that's where I think the most. Anybody else a shower thinker? It's like I can solve all the world problems in the shower in 5 minutes, but you give me all day and I can't even think. And honestly, it's probably just because I'm so distracted by the social media, by mom life, by wife life, like all the things, right? But I get in the shower for 5 or 10 minutes and I'm like, I know the answers to literally everything, and I've solved them for everyone. So hey guys, as you're hopping on, make sure you say hi. So let's talk about synchronicities for a minute. So I just want to share something with you. I know I've been vague booking or vague gramming, as I said the other day on Instagram stories. Facebook world, if you're not following me on Instagram, you should be. I'm at XO period Kristen Jones, just like my name is spelled all one word. XO period Kristen Jones. So, I've been vague gramming a lot lately because I've had a lot of like deep rooted things that have been going on, and I wasn't ready to completely share everything with everyone yet, because I knew that internally I had some things that I had to work on. And so it wasn't time for me yet. And yesterday, hey Fallon, oh my gosh, Mama, how are you feeling? I just like was on a video chat the other day with one of my soul sisters, and she's like, oh my God, when are you gonna stop hoarding information and just tell the world what the hell you're doing? And I was like, I know, I'm scared. And I am scared, but I'm like, excited, nervous, nervous, or whatever you want to call it. There's like a slang for that, right? I don't know. But anyway, so I'm like really excited to share this with you. But first I want to talk about synchronicities. And I want to encourage you guys, if you start noticing like little things that keep showing up in your life, it's for a reason. We're being given that path. We're being given those signs for a reason, right? Something that I know that we talk a lot about, like especially on my Instagram stories, is synchronicities and like time. We're seeing like the sequence of numbers, or maybe you're finding pennies, or maybe you're finding feathers, or for example, my grandma, who was very near and dear to me, she always saved dimes for my sister and I for every single summer when we came down, and we would have this, I actually have it from her. My parents gave it to me after she passed away. But it was like this money jar that she would just shove dimes in. And so now anytime we find dimes, we know it's my grandma. So she's leaving like those little dimes as like, hey, I'm here. So these little things that show up, and those are like some pretty deep stuff, right? But like there's little things too that show up in our lives that if we're just conscious enough, if we just step back for enough, if we just get off of our social media, our phone, our laptop, our blah, 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 all the things, right? We'll actually be able to see that these signs are leading us to something. And so often we're sitting here going, well, what's next? Well, what's next? Well, what's next for me? Well, I don't know what to do, or I have no idea what my path is, or I have no idea like this is another deep question, what my life purpose is, or why I'm here. Or this is a lot in the military world too. For you guys that are military spouses, you'll feel me on this one, especially when you're PCSing. There's so much shit to do and there's not enough time to do it, and I just don't know what to do. You stop. That's what you do. You just stop and you trust, and you do one thing at a time, because we know, like as a military family, we know that one thing at a time is all we can do. And you know what? Most of the time, like shit breaks during PCS, like something always falls apart, or it's just like something happens, but we always know that it's going to be okay at the end of the day, right? When we are like in the house, finally have the keys after the whole PCS chaos, we know that it's all worked out. It all worked out, right? It might have felt very chaotic and very stressful, but we know that it is just like it's gonna come together. And so if we just allow ourselves to sit in that knowing, allow ourselves to sit in, like Fallon said, the breadcrumbs of life. I love that. I might be interrupted by a pet or a kid or, something. But if we just trust those breadcrumbs of life, we don't have to know the whole picture. We don't have to see the whole picture. But if we just pick up one breadcrumb, if we just take one step, or I had a mentor explain this to me once that was really beautiful, was we don't have to see the whole street of lights. All we need to see is one light, and we walk towards that light, right? And then we do the thing. We do the thing that we are being led to do. And then the next thing comes on. The next light comes on the street. And then we walk to that light, and that light shows us that, okay, we're doing this next thing. And as we go on down the street, each light keeps coming on, and we turn around, and next thing we know, the whole street is lit up. Because all we had, and we accomplished this thing that we didn't even know the answers to it, that we were going at it blindly, but we had no idea that we were lighting up the whole street, that we were picking up all the breadcrumbs, and next thing we know, we just ate the whole damn cake, right? Fallon, I'm totally stealing that. That's so awesome. So synchronicities are really amazing things, but we just really have to trust. So why the hell am I here telling you this? First of all, I hope that inspired you just to like really trust. And it takes some time to like really trust. And I'm still learning this too myself. So let's just backtrack this and let me share with you. About a year and a half ago, I kept getting like these really strong synchronicities that happen. And it started actually when, I don't know if Sarah's still on, but when I joined my mentor and friend Sarah Try's mentorship, she had a mastermind last summer, and I went into it thinking I was actually going to learn how to do email marketing, which I did, and I freaking love, because I love to write. I'm so passionate about writing that like emailing was like my way to get my soul's work out into the world. It was just another way for me to like pour my heart into the women that are on, my email list and anybody that joins in, right? But what I didn't know is that it was going to help me tap into myself, like to my soul. And doing this not only like helped me tap into my soul, but it also helped me see a lot of synchronicities that I wasn't seeing before. And in this, I found something that I was really passionate about, that I realized in the bigger picture of things, when I started reflecting in this 5 minutes in my shower, I was like, oh my God, I cannot believe I didn't see this all along. All of these lights have been lit up for me, and yet I've been ignoring them. I've been like just pushing them to the side. I've just been running into the dark and not following these lights all along. So last summer I started hearing Reiki every freaking where I went. I was at a coffee shop one day just sitting and getting some work done on my laptop, and I had my earbuds in, and I took them out because I thought I heard something. And then next thing I know, the girls, nobody said my name. I didn't know anybody in there, but the girls next to me were talking about Reiki. Like, it kept popping up on social media. It kept popping up in random conversations. And I had never had a Reiki healing session done before. I knew what it was, but I was just like, I don't know. Like, it wasn't a priority. I like to go get massages. I like to go get my mani and pedi, but Reiki was like never up there on the top of the to-do list as part of my self-care. No idea why, it just wasn't. And so as time went on, I realized like I started down this healing path. And Amanda, I'll come back to your comment because I'll scroll out, girlfriend. But I started onto this path where I just started picking up, I just started going down one light at a time. Hi, Matt. And it was really amazing as I started reflecting on not just Reiki and what it was like meaning to me in that moment in time, but also what the synchronicities were that led me to this point. So just let me give you an example. This is like really crazy next level stuff. So back in 2007 and 2008, Matt, that's when Matt and I actually moved to Florida. That was our first duty station, and I worked at a bank. I freaking loved that job. It was one of my favorites. I started off as a teller and I moved up to a supervisor by the end of my banking career, and it was so much fun. While I was there, I met somebody who who I still admire today, who was a client at the bank, but she was also an author too. And she had a like this really amazing mommy like mentorship or whatever, like where I can't remember exactly what it was called, but we got on the phone. We didn't even have Zoom chat then, which is crazy how fast technology moves, right? But we got on the phone and she would just intuitively call to us, and we would it was really based around self-care and self-love and giving ourselves permission to step into who we are, but also permission as a mom, right? And really helping us see our worth as a mom. And it was in that moment that I also started doing some meditations, but I was never really consistent about it, but I loved the idea and I loved the concept. So that was also the time where my friend Aliana, who I worked with at the bank, she actually introduced me to the book, The Secret. If you guys have never read that, I highly recommend it. I think it's on Netflix now too. You guys, I keep holding my hand like this. I have a crystal in my hand. More about that in a second. But so I picked that up and I read it. And then we moved to Idaho shortly after that time frame, about a year later. And I started a home business because I didn't want to go to work. It made me really nervous taking my 13-month-old and putting him into a daycare and a ghetto ass place. If you guys have ever been to Mountain Home, Idaho, you know what I'm talking about. I was just like, no, not here for it. I don't trust it. Like, nothing feels good about it. So I just started a business. And my mentors were very intuitive. They were very into spirituality. They talked about The Secret, I was like, oh, that's weird, because I just read The Secret. And then, but I didn't at the time pick up the Synchronicities, right? And then, what else happened? I started doing more meditation. Some of the books that I read, then were very spiritually in tuned, were very into healing. And I was super young at the time, which I don't think is a factor in this, but I definitely wasn't ready to truly receive the information. I held on to a lot of personal poison that sometimes we think that we're just holding on to this anger, that we're holding on to this resentment and fear, and that shoving it to this side, sometimes it's unintentionally. If you guys have not read The Untethered Soul, highly recommend it. Like, go get it right now. Every person on this planet needs to read that book. It's so amazing. But it's like we tuck away all of these things that we don't want to look at because they're painful, because they're hurtful, because it's messy and it's not fun. It's not fun to feel all those feels, right? I wasn't ready to look at all that stuff, and so I just shoved it down, and so I held on to a lot of anger all the time. And then after I went along with that business, and I started, and after we moved to Arizona, I kind of got away from meditating for a little while. Life got really busy, and I just, honestly, there's, you know how it is. Like, you start being consistent with something, but then you move, or, I had another baby, and Matt was working nights, and like, I was just like, I just don't have time to even sleep, let alone get in a meditation. If I meditate, I fall asleep, which, you guys, by the way, that's okay. It's okay to fall asleep while you're meditating. It's totally fine. I just really lost myself. And when Matt was in Korea, I started meditating more. Also starting my business as a coach. I I started reading even more. It was one of the things that we really did together as a team was we committed to reading like 10 to 15 minutes a day or listening to an audiobook, whatever felt good. And I love to read anyway, and so that was just a habit that was really fun to pick back up. And so with all of that meditation and that point in my life when I can remember this day so clear, you guys. I was standing in the kitchen of the house in Arizona that we sold, and I was talking to Matt, who was in Korea, and it was I don't know, it was like 2 a.m. or in the morning or something stupid like that for him, but it was not. It was like obviously a different time in the day for us, and I was just like at a mental breaking point. I was selling this massive freaking house by myself. We didn't have orders, so I had to pack the entire thing by myself because TMO wasn't going to come save us, right? Because we didn't have orders, so like no proof that we were actually PCSing. And taking care of the kids, it just all like started to weigh on me. But then here's where it all comes together. I started worrying about the things that I couldn't control, the things that I couldn't see. And I knew at that moment, like as I was having a panic attack, I had 3 panic attacks within a couple days, and my chest hurt for over a week. And I had to call Matt and be like, help me breathe, I can't breathe. And of course, like how freaking scary is that for a man that's like on the other side of the world? You're like, what the fuck can I do to help you, right? And so when I did that in that moment after those attacks and that pain that I experienced, I realized, Kristen, there has got to be another way. And that's when I started meditating again. In the middle of a PCS, in the middle of trying to sell my house by myself with my husband overseas, with my kids running around being chaotic and a couple dogs, and it was not always pretty. Sometimes it meant I had to just hide in the closet for my kids to just put my earbuds in for 5 minutes and just breathe. But it was really what I needed. And it really helped me center myself and ground myself. And it also helped me get a hold of my anxiety. And so when this led, also in this time in Arizona, I met my friend Megan Andrews. And Megan, hi, if you're watching the video. She was on a different path at that time too, but when we reconnected more, even when I moved to South Dakota, she's in Arizona, she reached out to me last year because she was doing this thing for I don't know what exactly, an organization or something where they were offering healing services for veterans and their families. And they were offering a free service, one service for free in honor of Veterans Day. And she reached out to me, and I had been kind of following her post because I noticed she had become a Reiki healer. She had become an angelic healer. She was working with crystals, and I was like, oh my God, like I'm trying to figure out what crystals are and how they can help me because, you know, I really want something to go with my other healing modalities for myself with meditation. I felt like that just for me, just like something about the fact that besides they're like really freaking pretty, like you guys, I can't even, this one is so beautiful. It keeps catching my eye. But I was just like so fascinated by the fact that, you know, what she was doing, how Reiki kept coming up for me in my life. And then here's Megan, this beautiful soul that reaches out to me. She's like, hey, I'm doing this thing. Can I do this for you? And I was like, it's so weird that you reached out to me about this because I've been thinking about having Reiki done. And I don't know, like, what it entails for your end or what it feels like on my end, but I have an idea of what it is. Tell me more. Let's do this. And she did it for me. And literally, when she did it for me and my family, when she started working on my kids, like I could feel the energy in the house. But when she worked on me, I literally felt like all of my anxiety, everything that I was holding, like in my solar plexus, just like the anxiety was gone. And of course, it's taken more than like one healing session for that to like completely dissolve and for me to also work on myself to heal and stay on top of anything that I feel is causing that stress and anxiety in my life. But that was really the beginning. I was like, oh my God, I'm hooked. Like, how can I do more of this in my life? And why does this keep coming up for me? And that's when I hit the journal, because I was like, what does this mean for me? Like, this keeps coming up for me. I just had this done too. And like, is this something that's supposed to be a path for me? And I went to a really amazing healing retreat last year. Some of you may remember because I got to visit Lambeau Field, which was so amazing and totally a dream come true. As a diehard Packer fan, I was like in tears driving up to Lambeau Field. It was so amazing. But then like the whole retreat, that whole weekend was so healing. And I remember just talking like, there's something, I'm supposed to do something with healing, something more than I'm doing now, because for some reason it just keeps showing up for me. And it just like, I keep seeing these little synchronicities in my life and I don't know what they mean. And what's really good to remember is we don't have to know what it means. We just have to, we just pay attention to the synchronicities and just follow them, right? Just follow the little synchronicities that keep showing up in our path. And so, a little bit later, I decided, a couple months later, so late winter just like practically ended yesterday for us in South Dakota, and it's going to start tomorrow. We're supposed to get snow like, I don't know, Monday night or something like that. It's ridiculous. But anyway, so late last winter, I decided that I was going to enroll in a traditional Reiki course to become a Reiki master. And it was so freaking amazing. Like, I was like, this is epic. How can I share this with the world? Like, I finished the course. It took me a little bit longer than normal because I had a lot of life stuff going on, and that's okay. Like, all in divine timing, right? And so when I did finish that, I realized that I really needed that for myself in my life. I began doing that healing sessions on myself, on my husband and my kids, also my dog who, as you guys may know, passed away in July. She was my world. Like, I love that dog so much. But I was able to, send her some energy healing, help her feel comfortable too, and, take away whatever pain that I could at that moment in time for her, which was a really beautiful gift that I was able to give her. But as the summer went on, I was like, okay, I'm going to put this into the world. I'm going to offer this to people because this is such an amazing gift. And I kept doing it for myself, and I kept doing it for friends and family, but I was like, one thing after another kept happening from the spring up until, recently, that I was like, oh, I just like, for me, it was an integrity part to be like, there's no way for me to feel so out of alignment that I could feel so good giving somebody else healing, right? And then most recently, I committed to a Quantum Reiki. I'm going to tell you guys about this in a second. I committed to a Quantum Reiki course that was, wow, like, there's almost no words for it. So, for those of you who don't know, Reiki is an energy healing. It is a healing modality. It's a form of holistic treatment. And if you know anything about the quantum field, there's no time or space. So you can be anywhere in the world and receive Reiki healing, which is so amazing. And all I have to do is connect to the energy of the person that I'm healing, and that's it. And so what was really powerful to me was the difference from the traditional Reiki to the Quantum Reiki. It was so much more powerful, and I didn't even realize it until I started tapping into it myself, and I thought, okay, I'm feeling good, like, this is gonna be really great. I'm gonna start working on, my kids and my husband. And then I started noticing shifts in my imbalances, and I posted about this, or shifts in my body that felt like something was off. Like, I started to feel like I was almost getting sick. And so I reached out to the Ascended Master who was teaching the Quantum Reiki course, and he was like, yeah, you have some imbalances in your body that can happen. And I was like, oh, that's really not what I wanted to hear, because I'm really working effing hard. Like, I'm journaling, I'm meditating, I'm working on myself, I'm like talking about stuff, I'm, doing the things. And this type of healing modality allowed me to bring up stuff and release it. And then I continued to do that. And I continued to take care of myself. And I continued to make water definitely a priority, sleep a priority, journaling and getting off of social media, because I know that for me, I was just like scrolling around, and for me, it was realizing that I was numbing in different ways and not allowing what needed to come up. And, in the past several weeks, I've really been able to be like, okay, like I'm feeling so much better, so much more aligned, like everything, just like the synchronicities have truly fallen into place. And so when I completed this, I actually completed my Quantum Reiki Master a couple weeks ago, and I received my certification. And so now I'm offering healing sessions for that. So I put the link in my bio. You guys can check that out and see if it's a good fit for you, or you can message me if you have any questions at all. But I'm really excited about this. I'm also going to, after this live video, I'm also going to put this in my Instagram story. So it'll be up for 24 hours. But I'll put in there exactly what Reiki is, what Quantum Reiki is, how it can help you, what the benefits are, what it can do for you. And then please message me if you have any questions. What I'll do is I'll create a highlight for that. But I know that so many of you guys, when I mentioned that I had become a Reiki master in May, so many of you guys reached out to me and you're like, oh my God, I'm so excited. Can you please do a session for me? And I was like, I would love to, but in good, like in good, like not faith, but what's the word I'm looking for? I just couldn't get myself to do a healing session for someone else when I knew that I was going through a personal storm, and I also knew I needed to use it for myself at that moment in time. And I also had to reach out to friends and other healers for help too, because that was really important to me, to bring to you guys something that was pure and full of light and love and true healing. So I'm curious to know if you guys have ever had a Reiki healing session. Make sure you comment below and tell me what your experience was too. I know it's different for everyone. My husband is like, yeah, I don't feel you working on me at all. But with the Quantum Reiki, the other day I just walked up to him and I was like, feel this. And I walked to him and I was like, I just gave him a hug and I put my hand on his heart, and his heart, like, not like a hey babe, but like his heart started to race because of the energy. And he's like, whoa, what are you doing? I was like, I'm just working on your heart chakra. And he was like, oh, okay, that's crazy. I cannot believe that my heart like was picking up and feeling the energy. And that was really cool for him to actually be able to do that. But also, like, I've been helping my little boy Colin, who is 7. His throat's been hurting, so we've been working on that. And then my son, you guys, Austin, I posted about him a couple weeks ago. He's having an MRI tomorrow on his knee. And we went in last night to another urgent care that specializes in orthopedics. And they actually, he was like, this has gone on long enough. He still has fluid behind his kneecap. And Austin wasn't complaining of much pain, but he wasn't putting pressure on it. And so I was like, okay, let's just go see if like it's in your head or if there's actually something going on, because, you know, it's gone on long enough. And so he's going to have an MRI tomorrow. So we're working on his knee with the Quantum Reiki as well, which is a lot of fun. And then with my husband, I work on his back a lot. Which is really great because his job is weapons in the Air Force. And so a lot of the early time in his career, he spent a lot of time under the airframes, loading weapons and doing all that kind of cool stuff. So it's played a toll on his body, right? That's like some hard work, like getting into weird spaces and, you know, all that stuff. But, so it's been a lot of fun. So I'm really excited to bring this to you. I've been excited, nervous, or whatever I called it earlier. Link is in my bio. If you have any questions, reach out to me, shoot me a message. And like I said, I'll put all the information in my Instagram stories, and then I'll create a highlight. I already started the highlight a couple days ago, I think it was, but I was too scared to go live. But here I am. Hey! And also, I picked this stone tonight. It's blue kyanite. I said I was going to mention this, and I didn't want to forget. Blue kyanite is spirituality. It's good for communication, happiness, and harmony, and self-reflection. But I love blue stone because it is good for the throat chakra. So you have seven energy centers, and this is what I work on a lot when I'm doing my healing for other people is I work a lot on the energy centers. We have 7 main energy centers, and so the throat chakra is represented by the color blue, and the way I remember it is Roy G. Biv, just like from the crotch up. So the color blue. So if you're ever struggling with communication or throat issues or anything like that, a blue stone is always a really great one to hold with you. Or if you're going live or you're having like, you have to do a presentation or something like that, having a blue stone with you is really good for the throat chakra. And it's really good to help you verbalize what it is that you want to bring out into the world. I really love this one. This one's a really great one to meditate with too, because it's good for spirituality. So it's like, it helps you elevate. So it's really amazing. So that is all I have tonight. Hi, I hope you guys enjoyed this. I will throw this on my Instagram, IGTV too, but it might have been too long that I'll have to throw it on YouTube. So I'm in all the places. Just shoot me a message if you guys need anything. Hey Jen, I hope you guys have an amazing rest of your night, and I will talk to you soon.